Okay, Kevin Burke here from thehoopdoctors.com, and I have the privilege to chat with Jay Bilas for a few minutes. As you know, ESPN college basketball analyst, but who also has some cool things going on with Dove Men Care, which we'll get to in a minute. Jay, if I were to say to you that Nerlens Noel should not be the number one overall pick, and I guess you could also include Anthony Davis from a year ago, because number one pick should typically be more offensively well-rounded, what would you say to that?
I would say that's a fair point. That this is going to sound really negative, but I don't mean it to be. It's just trying to make a point that how often do we say about a number one pick or even a top five pick that, boy, he's really good defensively, but he can't score, and by the way, he's injured.
Right.
That's a lot going on. So there are a lot of question marks with Noel. He's limited offensively. He's gotten better, and he works at it, and he's a great kid, and I think he'll continue to work at it. But he's not got a back-to-the-basket game. He does not make his free throws. He does not make a face-up jumper. He can drive it a little bit, but when you play off of him, so what? But I think his strengths are he's an above-the-rim defensive player, shot blocker, rebounder, shot changer, gets a lot of steals, really active on the defensive end. So all those things are real positives. But he's slight of build, so he has to get a lot stronger. He doesn't really hold position. He can get pushed around. But in this draft, he may wind up being the number one pick because of his ability to block shots and run and do those athletic things on the defensive end that can help you win.
Cleveland, as you know, has the number one overall pick. And they and the Charlotte Bobcats also have the fourth pick. And the Bobcats last week, there was a rumor that came out that said they'd be interested in trading the number 4 pick to Miami for the services of Chris Bosh. Let me just paint a hypothetical for you, Jay. Miami agrees to that trade. They now have the 4th pick. They select Victor Oladipo to eventually replace Wade, who's on the wrong side of 30. How does that sound to you?
Okay. I guess you could do. Boy, it's given up a couple of big assets for one pick. But yeah, I think you could do that. Oladipo is going to be very good. Is he going to be Dwayne Wade good when Wade was at his best? I don't know. I think that's tall order. So I wouldn't sort of jump to that right away. It seems kind of odd that they would take that experiment and blow it up for the 4th pick in the draft. Maybe I don't know. I've heard some rumors about that on talk radio, but it seems kind of an odd time for that. I don't know the right answer. I would be a little nervous about that with the sort of the 4th pick in this draft.
Well, piggybacking on what you just said, do you think the Heat have another run beyond this year with the Big Three?
Yes, I do. I don't know exactly what Dwayne Wade's health situation is, but I think anytime you have LeBron, you've got a chance to win the whole thing. They're in the finals for the 3rd straight year, and they're dealing with injury. I do think they need to make some changes in their roster to provide some better shooting and all that. But I'm not sure I'd be willing to blow up the Big Three just yet. It's only been a couple of years.
And 3 years after the decision, is this psychoanalysis over everything LeBron does and says still warranted, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think LeBron's been treated pretty well. I thought he was treated poorly after that whole decision. It was a poor decision to do all that decision stuff. But I think people were a little over the top with their reaction to it. It's not like I've known him for a million years, but I know him a little bit. And I've always found LeBron to be a really fine person. I like him a lot and respect him a lot. So, and I think he's handled himself really well throughout this. He keeps getting better, keeps working harder. He's team first, and he's a facilitator rather than a guy who's me first. So I've always been really impressed by him, and I think he's going to continue to get better in his career rather than resting on the tremendous laurels he has now.
You ever considered coaching, Jay?
Years ago I did. I was an assistant at Duke. I was a grad assistant. I've gotten some coaching offers over the years, but never felt like it was, after my wife and I started a family, never felt like it was the right thing for our family. But now that our kids are, we're sending a kid off to college next year, and got another one that'll be hopefully going in a couple of years. You never know. I mean, I wouldn't say no to it, no to the idea of it, because I've always been intrigued by it. But broadcasting, as you know, is pretty cool. I never lose, and in your own mind, you're always right. But the downside is you don't have any skin in the game. I go to games and I enjoy the heck out of them. But the truth is, I enjoyed it more when I had something on the line. When you were part of it. So it's two different ways of enjoying the same product, the same game. Broadcasting it or being in the middle of it.
Understood. And finally, as I mentioned at the top, you have some really, really cool things going on with Dove Men Care. Talk to us about that for a few.
Well, thank you. I mean, I've been lucky to be associated with Dove Men Plus Care in their Real Moments campaign throughout the NCAA tournament and in the NBA Finals with Dwayne Wade. And with Father's Day coming up, Dove Men Plus Care it is showing how much they respect dedicated dads. There's no more dedicated dads than the fathers in the armed services. And Dove Men Plus Care has got something called Operation Homefront, where they're taking 300 active duty servicemen and reuniting them with their families over Father's Day. And I think one of the things that I could explain it a million times and never do it justice, because if you go to dovemencare.com/missioncare, there's a video of a soldier being reunited with his family, and you can take the most hard-hearted, cold-hearted person and have them watch that, and I would challenge anyone to watch that without crying. It's extraordinary, and I think it brings home the sacrifices that are made, not only by our fathers in uniform, but by their families as well. I mean, the families sacrifice as much, if not more, than the military personnel do. It's really extraordinary, and I'm really proud of Dove Men Plus Care that they're doing this, and that and grateful that they've allowed me to be a part of it.
Amen to that. No, you're right. Dove sent me the video as well, and I got chills watching it. So you're absolutely right. That was a great video. Last but not least, Jay, I gotta know. You become, quasi Twitter famous for your Jeezy gotta go to work tweets. Do you really listen to Jeezy? Is this whole thing authentic? Where was this born?
I do listen to Jeezy. I listen to a lot of. I've got varied tastes in music, so I listen to a lot of different things. But I've listened to rap and hip hop since I was in high school, and I was in high school a long time ago. But when I was in high school, there was a group called the Sugar Hill Gang, and they had a really famous song called "Rapper's Delight." And people of my generation, I can still recite every line to that song. And so I've listened to rap music ever since then. It's not the only thing I listen to, but the Jeezy thing came up. It kind of really started when I was game day was out at Michigan State, and Draymond Green was listening to an iPod or headphones, and Reese Davis asked him on the air, "Who are you listening to?" And he said, "Young Jeezy." And Hubert Davis started giving me a hard time, saying, "Is that on your iPod?" And I answered, "Yes, it is, actually." and so I started tweeting about, I think I tweeted something about it. Somebody asked me if I really listened to it, and they said, "Prove it," and shoot a line out, spit a bar out, and I did. And then I did it a couple more times with this guy or this person. And the last one I sent out, kind of in this show me you really listen to it thing, I actually had to leave and go to work. And so I put the line and said I got to go to work. And it got a lot of response, and I did it. So I did it the next morning, and then I started doing it every morning, and that's where it kind of took off.
And has Jeezy reached out to you about a cameo in the video yet? I'm assuming that's in the works.
I hope so. I would love to do that. We have had some, our people have gone back and forth, but I've not yet met the Snowman. I'm looking forward to it someday, and hopefully we can get that done. I would love to meet him.
That's hilarious. Jay Bilas, keep up the good work, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.